Hello everybody, welcome to our Medieval Dynasty survival guide. So today we're talking about everything pregnancy just because the labor of love has introduced a few new mechanics to, well, the mechanics. So let's go ahead and go over that, especially, if you are, if you have a new villager who is pregnant, you might be wondering what new kind of changes you might need to prepare for. So first of all, how do we even have our villagers get pregnant? And just as a quick little thing, this is all about villager pregnancies, not your wife pregnancy. That's a whole other kind of thing. But for your villagers, when they get pregnant, basically how this works is that a man and a woman inside of the same house, they have to be no more than 10 years of like an age difference between them. If it's greater than 10, they are not going to get married. They are not going to have kids. So if you want to start having, baby villagers, which we'll get into later, on why that's a good idea, you need to make sure they are at least, 10 or younger in terms of like that age difference. Or shorter, I should say. Maybe not younger, but shorter. So make sure that's a key kind of thing to keep an eye on when you are putting men and women in the same house. Now, other than that, you kind of just have to wait it out. It takes a little bit of time for them to get to know each other, to get along. Eventually, they'll get married, and then eventually they will have kids. And you know that a villager is pregnant when you see a little green icon in your villager tab, which I don't have right now, unfortunately. My village is still quite young, so a lot of these guys, they haven't, I don't even know if they're even married yet, but when they are pregnant, next to the lady, you'll see like this little green icon of a woman with like a pregnant belly, basically, and that is indicative that that person is pregnant. Now, once this villager becomes pregnant, this occurs basically at the start of a new season. So they don't get pregnant in between the seasons, but at the start of a new season, just check your little status here just to see if any of your villagers have become pregnant. And after that, and this is a new change, starting from the second season of their pregnancy, the villager, the woman, will stop working to kind of focus on her pregnancy. Beforehand, it was always after they gave birth. That's when they stopped working. They stopped working a little bit earlier now, so that is something that you're going to want to make sure you prepare for. You have somebody to cover their workplace if if you can't do that yourself. So kind of you'll have to prepare a little bit earlier, basically, just because that's what happens now. Now, the kind of, I guess, benefit of that is once you have a pregnant villager, whoever the husband is to that pregnant villager, they actually receive a productivity boost. So they're going to be working a lot more. So it might be helpful maybe to have the husband and wife do the same kind of profession. That way he can kind of cover the slack, if you will, when she's gone. So that might be a way to kind of compensate for her no longer working. Or at the very least, at least you're going to have a husband out there who's working real hard. Now, he's going to have that productivity boost both when she is pregnant and also when she gives birth and is taking care of the child. So that is how long that lasts. Now, mothers, they will not work for 2 years after birth. So you have they stop working in the second season of the pregnancy, and then they will not work until 2 years after they give birth. So once that baby basically becomes 2 years old, that is when they re-enter the workforce. So they're going to be out of there for a little while. You're going to definitely want to make sure that, whatever hole that they make, that is filled with either the husband or, some other additional villager. Now, obviously, this can cause a bit of a productive problem, right? A productivity problem. So why would you want to have your villagers get pregnant? And there's a few reasons. Obviously, you get that productivity boost from the husband. So depending on, wherever they're working, you're going to get a lot more of that that product or that resource, whatever it is their job is. So, if you want a little bit of a boost, there you go. The parents also get a happiness boost. It kind of adds to their villager mood. And as we know, or at least if you don't know, I guess you'll know now, when the villager's mood happiness is, a higher percentage, that then impacts their overall productivity. So it's a good way to, boost their max, if you will, productivity just overall. So good way to do that. And then obviously, you're setting up for your village in the future. You're going to need people to take over as your current villagers get older and die, and they can't work no more because they're dead. So having their children take over for them is obviously it's part of the whole dynasty thing, right? And also villager children, they receive higher starting stats, based off of like whatever skills their parents have. So if you have like somebody who's high in production and survival or something, their children will inherit that, and they will come into the workforce with higher skills. So that's a great way to just kind of start off pretty strong, honestly, with your new workforce. Now, if you're not quite ready to have your villagers become pregnant and just kind of deal with that whole mess, totally understand. The best way to just avoid that is to have men and women in separate houses. Do not house them together. Obviously, this means you're going to have quite a few houses on hand, but once you're ready to start having your villagers become pregnant, you can obviously move them in and then get rid of the houses if you need to or whatever. But just to make sure that that's happening on your terms rather than theirs, just kind of put them in their own homes. Keep them separated, and that's about it. So if you have any questions about pregnancy, do let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I will see you guys in the next one. Until then, keep surviving and keep thriving.